What's up, IGL fam? Episode 5 of Tnow Talks is going live right now with none other than the legend himself, Rocket Sledge, the demo king. We hope you enjoy this week's episode. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and enable notifications to know when we go live with these episodes. Enjoy the Tnow Talks. How's it going, IGL fam? We've got episode 5 of Tnow Talks coming at you with none other than Rocket Sledge here in the booth. It's an honor to have you on the show, man. You've been a long-time friend of the IGL family, and I'm really looking forward to getting the chance to sit down here and talk with you.
Well, I'm happy to be here, Tnow.
That's awesome. Let's get right into it, man, and start first things first here with content creation. You know, what's it like being a content creator, and why'd you get into Rocket League specifically?
Just living the dream, man. It's I don't know, it's exciting, I think, to create things and then have people enjoy them. Like that's a pretty special feeling. And if you enjoy creation, or making things or coming up with ideas, that's one thing that can be rewarding itself. But to have like thousands of people enjoy them and give feedback on it, that's something special, right? So as a content creator, you can't take that for granted, I think. And so that's, for me, that makes it a pretty enjoyable experience, even though it is a lot of work. As for Rocket League specifically, that just kind of happened. I think about how Musty says, like, none of it would have happened if it wasn't for the Musty flick. I think for me, it's kind of a similar thing. We both came up on Reddit at the same time. I mean, his posts were usually a little bit higher than mine on Reddit, but we were both on the front page during those early years, 2017, right around there, late 2016. So for me, it was doing things that people weren't doing at the time, the demolition plays and the salty chat and the montages that I was throwing together. If those weren't entertaining people, I wouldn't have kept making them, and then I wouldn't have got into, hey, I'm going to make a tutorial. Hey, I should just edit regular videos. And then as I went on from there, that all wouldn't have happened. So why Rocket League specifically? It's just because I was having fun and I decided, hey, Rocket League has a pretty good replay system. I'm going to record a video. That's basically how that started.
Nice. And yeah, of course, we'll get to your IGL career a little bit later, but you and Musty were Team Reddit in the very first circuit we had. Yeah. You mentioned, though, you know, kind of coming up on Reddit 2016, 2017. So how long have you been playing Rocket League? Did you start at the very beginning, or did you kind of pick it up after it'd been there?
So I don't like saying this very often because people are like, well, why aren't you better at it? But yeah, I got the game right around the week it launched. I just kind of happened upon it. I don't know if it was because it was kind of in a lot of like articles about, because it was free on PlayStation and it was making a little bit of the rounds there as people were getting excited about this game. And I either saw it there or it was recommended to me on Steam. I can't remember which one. So I remember once I found out it was free on PlayStation, I went to a friend's house that had PlayStation. I'm like, you got to download that. I want to try it. And so I tried it, and then I went home and bought it on Steam. So yeah, July 2015 is when I started.
That's amazing. Right from the very beginning here. You know, with the content creation, you've got a lot of awesome YouTube videos. That was kind of the core of what you were doing for a while. And relatively recently, I mean, you know, within the last like 6 to 12 months here, you've started doing the Twitch streams, getting that going on a more of a full-time basis. Talk a little bit about what that's like, and if there's been any sort of challenges or maybe things you've enjoyed with it compared to the traditional YouTube videos.
So it's only been about 3 months of Twitch, actually. So a little bit of exaggeration there, Tnow.
Yeah, my bad.
I know I look like I'm a pro, I know, but only 3 months. Pretty new at it still. Still having people like drop in saying, I didn't know you did Twitch. And I'm like, well, watch my recent videos because I keep plugging it. And it's been good. It's definitely different. I'm having to play the game more than I have been over the last year. Like, I've really focused on content the last year or so, which means playtime has like been almost non-existent. I play enough for whatever I need for a video and then edit for a week, especially when I was working. So now that I'm streaming, all of a sudden I'm playing the game more, which is it's fun, but I definitely need to get better at it. So I was doing like 1v1s all stream the other day, and I was like, man, I haven't played this much Rocket League in a row. Like, I can't remember the last time. Never mind playing 1v1s. So I'm enjoying that. Interaction with chat is also a lot of fun. That real-time feedback versus putting out a video and seeing what happens. It's still a little weird streaming because it's like you make a joke and you're like, well, there's no laughter. I don't know. Was that a joke? Hopefully someone puts LOL in the chat or something, and there's a stream delay you're dealing with. And but other than that, I'm getting comfortable with face cam kind of right now. Still not comfortable with this. But as for comparing it to YouTube versus Twitch, yeah, it's just different. I feel like I don't do very much on Twitch. I feel like my videos are very involved and thought out, where Twitch I'm like, okay, this is what you guys want. You just want me to hang out and talk to you, because it doesn't feel like this is content compared to what I consider content. So there's definitely, it's kind of weird for me in that way. I've never been one to consider streaming as content creation, I guess, and maybe that's not giving enough credit to people that stream only, because I think you can create content, but for me it just doesn't feel like what I think content creation should be. Sure. And so it's been a little bit of acceptance on my end to say, okay, this is I'm doing something, people are enjoying this, I gotta just keep doing it. But I've liked it so far.
That's good. And I guess, I'll ask you the question directly here. It sounds like YouTube's kind of the preference, but which one do you enjoy more, YouTube or streaming on Twitch?
Yeah, I think I gotta say YouTube, because I get to package something and make it perfect. You know what I mean? I mean, live has its own elements where I think I feel like I can make some jokes and respond, and rather than coming up with something. I think definitely live has its preferences in that way. But as for giving a finished product that you can just throw out there and many more people can benefit from, I'm definitely on the YouTube side. Like, people always talk about me doing a certain thing on stream. I'm like, yeah, like that's gonna, how many people are gonna watch that? Like 100 people? I'm like, that's great. But I would rather package that and do it right, and 100,000 people get to experience it. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely on the YouTube side, I feel like I can put my best forward, and that's the real representation of what I'm capable of. So yeah, YouTube first.
Yeah, and you do have a lot of really creative ideas. We worked with you with like the Rocket League Air Show. You've got your history of Rocket League videos, and I saw you tweet about it today with the most recent video here, at least as the recording of this podcast, I should say, about the season 3 grand champion was absolutely hilarious. So where do you find the inspiration for these types of videos?
I feel like as a content creator, you get better at ideas, which is kind of a funny thing to say. It's almost like your mind starts working in a certain way, and now you start being able to grab stuff and turn it into content. And I think you see that with a lot of other creators too, even Sunless, Musty, as they've grown, they're still getting better, like of turning something into an idea that just like does so well. You're like, how'd you do that? How'd you come up with that? And sometimes it's from your community. You take something, you're like, okay, I can take that and turn it into something that's way more than you could possibly imagine, right? So for me, I feel like when I compare when I started to grind YouTube a little harder about a year ago versus now, I feel like I'm better at ideas. And I always have this running list, or it's almost like a book now, of ideas that are in process, and it's just some of them are waiting for the right time or the last piece to fall into place, saying, hey, yeah, now I can do this. So there's no real method to my madness, I guess. Like, for example, I was explaining my tweet today, like my idea for this season 3 grand champion that loses it all, that actually came during, I was doing a content review on stream where people were submitting videos for me to watch and I would talk about. And everyone always has these montages, and I didn't really want to watch montages, but they got these thumbnails they're always this like arrow from like bronze to GC, and it'll say 2 years, and it'll be like a progression montage. And so it kind of got me thinking. I was like, okay, what if that arrow went the other way? I'm like, what if it's a regression montage, right? And I thought kind of that was a funny idea. And I was like, well, it could be even like me. Like, I used to be like C2, almost C3 player, and then I just started like grinding content, and now I'm like struggling in C1 or Diamond 3. I'm like, it could be like a story of me. And I'm like, well, that's not that very exciting. But then that got me thinking more and more, and then I kind of came up with this fictional story with the backdrop of Rocket League history and how that would fit into what happened in season 3 versus season 4, and I could kind of interweave that. So the thought process from idea to what the final product is, it can change a lot, right? But you got to write those ideas down so that eventually you'll come back and you'll turn it into something.
That's really interesting about the idea of writing down your different ideas and kind of keeping track of that. I'm curious about that because when we went to RLCS in Newark, Floomp was sitting with us, and he had a notebook that he carried around with him, and when he would get an idea, he would write it down in the notebook. Do you think that's something that's pretty common with content creators, and have you chatted with people about that?
I'm not sure. It's an interesting concept. I feel like for me, definitely writing feels like I can express myself more. So I've it's actually written. I don't have a Word document. It's an actual list, and I'm crossing out these things on the list. I'm like, I did this video, it's done, and the list continues. So I'm not sure, actually. I haven't actually had that conversation to say, hey, do you have their little book?
Yeah.
Mine doesn't care. I don't carry mine with me. I'm not that level yet. I don't have as many ideas as Floomp, I guess, if he has to carry a book with him. Mine just sits on my desk.
Awesome. Well, hey, wherever the inspiration strikes you, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
I know one of the things you have going on is the race to 100K with Waiton and Sir Classy. Have you been doing anything differently, once that competition started, and how's that kind of been going for you?
Well, I had a nice lead, partly thanks to Lethamir pushing my channel there for a little bit. And that kind of evaporated on me. So the thing I did differently is I just fell apart in July. I don't know what happened. Yeah. And Waiton put out a really good tutorial, and tutorials are really good for the sub inbox there. So he kind of blew past me, and I had to do a recovery, if you will, where I tried to come back from 2 bad videos in a row. But now bad videos, I mean, YouTube thought they were bad. They didn't get recommended. Nobody watched them. I feel like it's still good content, but that's a struggle with YouTube, I think. And you'll even look at Waiton's recent video where he was going into private matches, which is a very popular video idea, and it all of a sudden YouTube didn't recommend it, and so it's like it's a struggle out there. I haven't changed what I'm doing. I have these ideas I feel like are solid ideas, and I'm going to do them because I think they're going to do well. I only have a small amount of control in that regard. I can only make the video as good as I can and title it and thumbnail it as best I can. After that, it's not up to me, right?
Sure.
So other than that, I'd like to come back and make it a strong finish between me and Waiton. I definitely recovered a little bit here in the last couple of weeks. Let's see if I can keep doing that.
Nice. We're definitely cheering for you. Although Waiton's he's a friend of the IGL family as well, and he's playing in the summer circuit right now. You're doing, obviously, collaborating with those guys on the Race to 100, and you've collaborated with a lot of the biggest Rocket League content creators out there as well, like Sunless, John Sandman, Musty, people like that. How'd you meet these various creators, and what's it like making videos with some of them?
As for meeting them, there's different paths, I think, to get in with some of these people, and it's the same thing that happens some of the people that hang out and work with me now. People will ask them, well, how did you get in with Sledge? you're not a famous person or something. And it's weird paths that lead you sometimes to work with people, and there's no, if you do this, you do this, and do this, they're gonna notice you, right? For Sunless, when he was starting out, he was actually on Reddit a little bit, as people would post his content on Reddit a lot. And so I kind of knew of him, and I basically just DM'd him through Reddit one time, and I played with him a couple times that way. So we kind of got to know each other a little bit there. And then and then after a little bit, when I was just starting to get into other editing content, he asked me to come edit for him and basically kind of pitch video ideas and write scripts and stuff like that. So that's how I kind of got in there with Sunless. I guess he saw something I was capable of and brought me in to work with him for a bit. So there's 3 videos on his channel that were written and edited by me, or we collaborated on. As for Sandman, well, that's a different story altogether. I think I had messaged his like business email before to try and play with him. I think I tagged him on Twitter, like many people do, but unfortunately that doesn't really work. So as Sandman, he actually eventually followed me on Twitter. So basically I just got well known enough to be noticed by him. I guess.
Yeah.
As soon as someone follows you on Twitter, like John Sandman, now you can DM him, right? DMs are closed unless he follows you, as with most creators. So I kind of waited a little bit. I didn't go right after him right away, but I'm like, okay, now I can actually contact him, and got him to play with me for the first time for a video. And I think we did 2 videos for his channel and 1 video for mine at the same time. And I may have had 5,000 subs at the time, so that was kind of a big deal for me. Now it didn't really get many views for me, but it was still a connection that was made, and then he's been willing to come back, and he's always up for, if you have a good idea, now that we have this relationship, he's up for it, which is kind of so you don't abuse those connections, right? There's a reason why usually they don't open these channels with just anybody, because it can be abused, right? Or you think this guy's always going to respond to me, I can just talk to him at any time. That's not really how it works. But if you, like, for example, I just messaged John a couple days ago, and I have this idea, and I just pitched it to him. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I think you'd be good for it. And he's like, yep, I'm in. And we move from there, right? So what it's like to work with them, it's a lot of fun. Also, but there's a little bit of a responsibility, I think, that comes with it about, I know these guys have their own stuff to do. I know them being in my videos is not going to do anything for them. So they're definitely doing it as a favor, or because they like your content, right? So you want to like make the most use of their time. You want to make a good product. So there's some pressure that comes when you bring somebody in. And people always talk about, well, you should collaborate with this person or that person. And in Rocket League, you'll see that a lot of times it's got to be the right idea. There's no real point in just collaborating just for the sake of collaborating. Rocket League's a tough game to do that in. There's not much to do in it, right? So it has to be the right idea to collaborate. Unless you're just playing with pros, I guess.
Yeah.
that's a pretty simple idea.
Yeah, that can look cool no matter what's going on there. Yeah. Talking about content creation and the Rocket League community in general, obviously free to play, something that's going to be really big and exciting happening here in the not so distant future. What do you think that's going to do for kind of like the content creation community, and then just the player base in general?
Well, I think it's going to be good for the player base. We're going to get lots of new players in, publicity for Rocket League. People get to try it out. I think some people have this opinions about what the game's like. So trying it out is going to be interesting. If I remember what it was like the first time I played it, it's pretty exciting. Like, I know some people think it's going to turn some people off because it's hard. But if you remember when you started, you didn't care. Like, everyone, especially if it's like, if you're playing people that are also your level, everyone's just having fun. Everyone's bad. Everyone's missing the ball. And it doesn't matter that it's hard, right? So I think it's going to be good for the player base. As for content creation, I mean, more eyes, it's going to be more viewers. And I hope they just don't get sucked into the musty sunless void that seems to take all the viewers right now.
Yeah, they're pushing for the million, right?
Yeah, that's right. So leave some for the rest of us, right? So even if I can take a small percentage of that, if there's a big influx of viewers, it's going to be good for content creation in general. Lots of people searching Rocket League on YouTube it's going to lead to some of my videos. I know that for a fact, because some of them definitely do come up high on that search list for certain topics.
Are you? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know if we'll see more content creation. I think that's still a tough thing to crack or break into. I don't know. I'm thinking of like other content creators that like switched from Rocket League to like Fortnite when Fortnite gets big. Do I see content creators doing that somewhere else? Is like someone go from Minecraft to Rocket League? maybe. I think the advantage is going to be to the guys that are here now, though, that are building their following now, because they got this backlog of content. And so if people find you, they can binge watch, like for me, like 93 videos or something like that, if they want to go back that far. Hopefully they don't. I might have to private some videos so people don't get the first impression is not terrible first video Sledge.
Yeah.
But yeah, so content creation, I'm sure there'll be other people trying to get in. I'm not sure how this is going to change that side of it, to tell you the truth, but there will be more viewers, which is positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely more players, more viewers. Feel like it should be a good all-around boost in general. And I guess it will be interesting to see, you know, if certain YouTubers try to switch to Rocket League as maybe like their main game, or if we see some new names start to come up as being kind of some of the well-known Rocket League content creators. There's just so much that goes into these kinds of things, and if you can catch people's attention, you know, if you can kind of keep that momentum going, it's definitely a lot of work. There's like you know, we got a lot of respect for what you and all the other content creators do, because it's not easy. I mean, sometimes you guys make it look easy, but it's definitely difficult coming up with ideas and keeping that upload schedule, and you know, just continuing to put out that type of quality content on a regular basis. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes here. Let's chat a little bit about your IGL career here, though, because obviously
we're going way back here.
Yeah, you've been with us from the very beginning. You know, it's been over 2 years that IGL has been around, and you know, you've competed in some circuits. Let's talk about that beginning, though, and like how you learned about us, and kind of what it was like competing in some of those circuits for the first, I think, year or so when you were playing.
Yeah. So Sunless was messaged me, I believe, because he was kind of in with you guys already and talked about this circuit starting, and he was trying to support you, and he thought that, I think he might have suggested me and Musty, but he was talking to me. He's like, you guys should join it. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I'd be up for that. Me and Musty could play together, because we had been playing together a decent amount for clips and montage stuff. And so I messaged Musty about it, and then Musty was kind of turned off because at the time it was pay to play. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Don't worry about it, man. I'll pay our way. So I'm like, if I get to play with Musty, like, he's gonna carry hard, I think I could pay our entry into that. Which
you did, I'm pretty sure, because you guys got third place.
Yeah, we got third place. So yeah, it was cool. I definitely learned about pressure, learned about being on stream. I remember like the stream, we'd try and be on as many streams as we could, but I remember like you get so nervous when you knew you were on stream. I remember like just sitting there at kickoff, and I'm like trying to remember what button my boost was. Like, it just, all your muscle memory was gone. You're like, I gotta do a kick up. What? No, is this jump? Is this, what's gonna happen when I push this button? I can't remember. So definitely getting that kind of stuff out of the way and learning to be calm and not pay attention to being on stream. Like just recently I was on the Scuffed Mine halftime show there for Salt Mine. I think there's like 8,000 people, 7,000 people that were watching that, and didn't even bother me at all, really. And I feel like I got that training first of all in IGL, doing it in front of 30 or 40 people. So I definitely enjoyed my time. And then I think I played again in a different circuit for in threes, because we started in twos, right? There was only twos in the beginning.
Yep.
And then I did some threes, and yeah, I definitely enjoyed competitive Rocket League. Like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good. You know, always glad to hear that people enjoyed it, and it is pretty crazy because, you know, we, both myself and Commissioner Smash, I mean, we weren't, you know, nobody knew us in the Rocket League community, right? So to say like the very first league, we had Sunless, Rocket Sledge, and Musty playing in it, and Pluto as well. It's just insane that that's like, you know, just when we were just starting off, we had all those people, and it was a lot of fun, and obviously we've grown quite a bit since then. And I guess the question is, you know, if we'll ever see a return to the field someday for a future circuit.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that right contract, man. I don't think you can afford me, guys.
I know we haven't been able to finish up those contract negotiations to get you to come back. I don't know
Yeah.
though. I mean, I feel like Woody's been playing, and I see you guys interacting a lot on Twitter as kind of the demo king. So maybe he'll try to pull you back in so you guys can, make everybody that you play quit.
Yeah, right now, unfortunately, my focus has to be on content. Like I'm in this kind of window where I'm trying to do it full time, but that window of time that I have is narrowing, where I either gotta make it or break it, I guess, for lack of a better term. And right now, I'm not making it. Like, unfortunately, to get kind of serious about it, like it's not working. I'm not there yet. I need more views. I need more subs. I need Twitch to do better. So anytime I'm not spending on that, I don't want to look back at the end and say I didn't put everything I could into it. So like playing Rocket League is kind of still low on my priority list in that way. And I'd like to get to the point where there's not a worry about that kind of stuff anymore. And then I think you'll see me joining this kind of stuff more. That's the goal.
Definitely.
That's how Noah will make it. That'll be my return to IGL.
There we go. I like the sound of that. I like the sound of that a lot, and it's good to see putting so much effort into it and working hard at it, and that's what you got to do. We definitely understand that, and I'm cheering for you, man. You've come a long way since even the early days of IGL. I mean, I feel like. How long have you been doing the YouTube stuff? Because I feel like when you first started in IGL, which obviously was 2 years ago, you might have like dabbled in it a little bit, but I don't really remember you starting on this, putting like a ton of effort into it until a little bit later.
Yeah, I was kind of doing the montage stuff at that time. So I wasn't really trying to make it, I guess. That wasn't the goal at the time. So I think serious Rocket League content creation kind of started January 2019-ish. So like a year and a half of really kind of grinding it, putting videos out through like 3 videos a month was what I consider like actually starting to put in the effort to make it. So yeah, so my YouTube channel goes back to like September 2016 for my first montage. But actual grinding of content, trying to make it good, is about a year and a half, and probably about a year of really like the hard grind. So like last year, right around this time, would have been when I put out the rarest titles video. That was like a really big video for me. We're getting close to the first year anniversary of the White Hat video, which was like another. This was right around the time where I pushed through to 20,000 subs. This time last year. Yeah. And so now I'm getting close to like 85,000. So it's a steady growth. It's not just like a rocket. I'm not like Waiting levels, who's gone to like 80,000 subs in 6 months or 7 months. But it's been a steady growth going on for like a year and a half. So
yeah, and that's good. I mean, I know you're continuing to look for like every time, looking for that big hit video, right? Because you've had a couple of those that have been pretty well up there. I think your one with Sunless John and Floomp, I remember seeing it it was like around 500,000 last I checked.
Price is Right, yeah, 700,000 now. Yeah.
Dang, yeah, Price is Right, and I know the Family Feud videos were really interesting too. And hey, I was even in that one video pretending to be a coach. So yeah, you got a lot of cool stuff out there.
That's true.
But well, I'm really appreciate you taking time to chat with us here today. We got our last segment where we ask you a couple questions from the previous week's guest. And last week we had both Nito and Widow, of course, from Space Station Gaming. Obviously a couple Twitch streamers who I'm sure you're familiar with, and a couple questions that they posed here is we'll go 2-part question here. So number one, if you could play one game for 2,000 hours, what would it be?
Okay, so is this gonna be like a 2,000 free hours? Like I go into a void and those hours don't count off my life. I can just do 2,000 hours focused on a game. Is that what we're talking about here? That's how I'm picturing this.
Yeah, like I'm picturing this as like basically like if you could just kind of have your pick of the lot. Time is irrelevant. You're gonna sink all your time into this game. Which one would it be, basically?
That's tough. Like there's been a few games in the past where I've played where I'm like I could spend a lot of time on this game and I just I've had to leave that stuff behind. So like I think of like Kerbal Space Program as one of those ones, like sandbox, build your own space race kind of thing. Factorio would be another one like that. So those games that like that creativity and you kind of like build your world, I feel like those I could spend that kind of time on. So that's my Kerbal Space Program. Let's say that one.
Nice. Have you ever heard of a game called Eve Online?
I have. I've played it a very little bit. Definitely not for me.
Got it. I was curious because I know that that's one that's like a very immersive. You have to do so much, and I mean I don't know. For all the viewers, definitely go look up EVE Online and look up the largest battle that ever happened, because it was like tons of like real world money at stake, and it lasted like 3 days. It was hilarious. But anyway, getting a little sidetracked there. The second question here, which is kind of similar, talking about games again, is if you could go back to when you first picked up your favorite game, what would you tell yourself?
I'd probably tell myself to practice more so that I'd be better at Rocket League right now. And I'd probably tell myself to like start making videos sooner and maybe a different approach to videos. I was looking back at Sunless's first videos, because I recently like did like a reaction video where I looked at like Sunless's first video and Musty's first video. He really like did short videos, and I never really did that when I started doing like tutorials, like 10-minute tutorials. And I think if I had been able to focus on shorter videos that were more targeted and wouldn't take like a month for me to do, I would have like made some progress a little bit better. I wish I'd taken a different approach to making videos. So I probably would have told myself to like get in there, start doing voiceover right away, and start to learn, because I didn't know anything about editing, so I had to learn as I went, right? And I think if I had started a little differently, I could have improved a little more. I could have been the Floomp.
Yeah.
Start making top 10 videos. Come on, Sledge.
Yeah.
Get on that.
Hey, when you watch this video next Friday, maybe your future version, will thank your past version here for the advice of going back there. But, we also, so you've answered the previous week's guest question here. So now you get to pose one for next week. It really can be anything related to video games, IGL, maybe anything on your mind. It's not always necessarily going to be a Rocket League guest. But if you want to ask something Rocket League specific, just in case, could throw somebody for a loop, could be fun. But what would be the question that you would want to ask the next week's guest?
I think I'd like to know their best gaming moment, like either something they can't believe that happened, or something that was amazing, or something that they did like online that people saw, or maybe something they didn't. No one saw but them, but they're like most epic. What is their most epic gaming moment or achievement?
I love that one. Can I put you on the spot to ask what yours is? And if you need a second to figure it out, I can answer mine, because I do have one in mind.
Go ahead.
Okay. So mine is whenever I got Grand Champion in Heroes of the Storm in one of the very first, or Grand Master, I guess I should say. I'm thinking Rocket League, but it was basically like the top 500 leaderboards for all of North America, and I made it on there, and it updated every night. So I remembered waking up like the next day, looking on the leaderboards and seeing my name there in the top 500, and I was just like, I made it. I'm going pro. It was my greatest moment, and of course, none of that happened, but it was a big time accomplishment for me, right. And I was pretty psyched.
Right.
Did I stall long enough?
I don't know if. I feel like my gaming moments are so attached to YouTube now that I would like pick a YouTube achievement. Like 100,000 views or something like that. But let's just say getting recognized and followed by Rocket League. Ooh. So in December 2018, I want to say. It might have been 2017. It's all kind of blurred together, but basically it was like within a couple weeks of each other. There was a year-end like review on the Rocket League website, where they mentioned me by Reddit name. It was like, over the last year, you've been on Reddit, you've been flicked on by Musty and demoed by Sledge 98 or whatever my Reddit name is, right? And so basically it was like a call out that they recognized us on Reddit as well-known names. And then like 2 weeks later, Rocket League followed me on Twitter, and they at the time they like followed like 200 people or 300 people. So that was kind of like a recognition that I didn't expect to happen at that time. And they kind of like followed each other. A little bit of validation, even though I was really just a small-time content creator that did some demo stuff at that time. So that's probably my epic gaming moment.
That's awesome. That's a really cool one too. That's awesome. I'm glad they didn't call you Rocket like I did.
That's true.
In the first IGL circuit. But it's always good getting a chance to talk with you, man. I really appreciate you joining Tnow Talks, and you can correct me if I get the times wrong, but definitely head over to Sledge's YouTube channel. Hit him up with those subs because he is in the race to 100K with Waiting right now. So go show him some support. And you can also catch him streaming on Tuesday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern and Thursday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern on his Twitch channel. All of the links in the description below, along with his socials there. So make sure to give him a follow. Just verifying with you here, all that information correct?
All correct, yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, really appreciate it. Thanks for being on the show here, and it was good getting a chance to chat with you.
Thanks, Tnow.
All right, guys, so make sure to keep up with the latest IGL happenings via our socials below. Be sure to subscribe to see who we have on next week's episode of Tnow Talks. Thanks for tuning in. That wraps up episode 5 of Tnow Talks. A big thank you to Rocket Sledge for hopping in here and having a chat with me. We hope you all enjoyed the episode. Make sure you hit up all the links below to give Sledge a follow on all his social media platforms, YouTube and Twitch. Also hit that like and subscribe button here on the IGL YouTube channel. Hit that notification button as well so that you know when we're going live with our next video. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. We'll see you on next week's episode of Tnow Talks.